let there be light, and there was light. Okay, hanging on to the words of the said God. Mother Eve, the serpent, um, well, the Christ spirit, the pineal gland, the Kundalini, Eve, and much more. Okay, but if you are joining us for the first time, I am Crime Queen, and this is where we have fun with words and numbers, numerology to be precise. But we are hinging onto scriptural texts, references, and stories, trying to make sense of how the King James version of the Holy Bible has impacted our lives, and of course not just to see how it's impacted our lives, but what can we do today, this day, to really make things work for us, see how we can use those stories or the teachings if we have not really found joy in them, but there is a gem in there. So we may not find joy, but there is gem still. But through numerology, we are able to really extract a lot of joy. In fact, yes, for me, very much so, and I hope for you too. And may I thank my subscribers as well. People subscribing to the Crime Queens channel. Thank you very much for your support and interest. And please leave your comments, likes, and subscribe. And well, of course, you subscribe, but share, of course. Yes. All right. So thank you. And so we are looking at the story of Job. This is the third presentation on this. I have got presentations that I did well, quite a while back, because I did get to understand, which was very funny at the time when I realized that Mother Eve was really the one playing the game with Job. Of course, Mother Eve is Satan. So when we hear of Satan, we are talking about Mother Eve too. And the Mother Eve was really saying, stand up, be a man, where were you when I formed the earth, and so on. Mother Eve really wanted Job to have his attention way down, because his head was so way up in the sky, so full of himself. And Mother Eve wanted to take him down a notch or two, not just for the sake of that, but to help him find another dimension, the fifth dimension. Of this is where Mother Eve is taking us to, the fifth and eighth dimension. And that's what Mother Eve really wanted Job to experience, because of course he had worked very hard on being a self-righteous person. Well, he was also righteous. God would have seen him righteous too, because he of course perhaps followed every commandment very meticulously, because so much so that when his sons and daughters were out drinking wine, he would go and offer sacrifices to God, burnt sacrifices, in case they had sinned. In fact, he would say they might have sinned, so I'm going to do this prayer just to cover their sins. Job he probably had no joy whatsoever. I don't think he was a happy man at all. Every time you go out, of course it happens to most of us, we wonder and we worry about our children. But I think Job really was OTT, with well, that was his path. Of course, he was a man of stature. He was a rich man. So he was thinking about his reputation as well. He wouldn't really want his children doing obnoxious things that, would jeopardize his reputation as a man of stature. But Job, first of all, let's look at the word Job. The word Job actually equals 9. Now we know that 9, because just like Steve Jobs, of course, I did a presentation on Steve Jobs as well. So the word Job or Steve Jobs, you have got a job, you've got your job really cut out, and it's no kind of like shortcuts with it, because it's like a mother in labor, and that's what Job's story is about. It was like a mother having to bear a child for 9 months. Now, of course, look at the word Job here. Is actually equals 9. Now we see, breaking down these, looking at these implicitly, the numerical value, we have seen 1 is like 10. As I say, it correlates the words of the said God, Mother Eve. This is where we see we add this up. 7 plus 3 is 10. So we see that 10 is 1. So basically, Job had to deal with his perfection. The word perfect is 10. But there was something, a correlation with Job and number 10, because he had 3,000 sheep. Let's put it 3,000 sheep. It may have been the other way around. And 7,000 camels. It may have been the other way around. But there we are dealing with number 10 as well. So 3 of these. This is 10. 3 plus 7 is 10. He had 5,000 she-asses or something like this. Then we see the word she as well is there, which is, of course, as I say, that's Mother Eve being present there as well. And there was another 500, so there was the 500 of something, and then there was another 500 or 5,000. But if we add these numbers together, this is 10 plus 10 is 20. So 20 is really foundation. We have done this in a few presentations. The word foundation is 20. The word south is 20. And the word rock is 20. So this is where Christ said to Peter, upon you I will build my rock. The word Peter is also 10. Let's see, Peter is 10. 7, 5, 2, 5, 9. Okay, so this is 14 and 16. This is 5, sorry. 16, that would be 21, 28. 2 plus 8 is 10. Okay, so this is where we see that Christ, of course, had used that perfect scale as well with Peter. Now, again, this is another example for us to look at when we see about perfect. So certain names are used, like Peter was used, and we see that it means perfect. So like heaven. So instead of Christ saying, because Christ was really about parables as well, upon this heaven, which is 28 as well, I will build my rock. Basically, he couldn't really say that. He would say, upon you, Peter, you know, because that is like the parable, and that is the like a metaphor. Okay, all right. So basically, we see that the word south, which is where we plant, when we say south, we go down. When we talk about foundation, it's down. If we talk about rock, something solid, of course, it's down. We don't see rocks in the sky, even if the clouds look like rocks sometimes. But we know we have another definition for rock, that solidity, that rough stuff that is matter. Okay, so basically, Job, which reminds me on 20 as well, that is a number that I noticed is used as well, like Sarah, when God changed Sarah's name from Sarai to Sarah, that became 20, because that is foundation. That's when she was then the mother of the 12 tribes, we could say. So that is foundation. So that's the thing about 20. So basically all Job's animals that he had, wealth in that sense, of course, was 20. So but when in the story of Job, those things were taken away and he lost his children as well. What he said, well, God has given, God has taken away. And that was it. But God wanted Job to know more. He wanted Job to find out Job's own makeup. which Job had not really taken the time. God had to sort of take all these things that Job had really valued, his flocks, his wealth, his children. God had to take those things away, because then there would be nothing else for him to go praying about like he used to do when his children had gone out partying. So instead of him really going within and finding out his true makeup, that the God was that dwell within him, Job had not done the job, basically the job he was required to do. So that's what happened. So another thing we see, with the correlation, so we know with that number 9, which is the person we are talking about, he's 9. So that means he has to birth something new. There is something phenomenal that he has to do. So if you have watched my first video on Job, you would see that the number 9, Job being 9, he is the bridge. Job is the bridge that we all have to cross, so to speak. The bridge to I call it the nose bridge. But even if we say the nose bridge, for instance, it's that we would, let's just have fun in this nose bridge. This no, the word no is actually, when we say no, nose, N-O-S-E, the no, okay, but then there's the no, because you have to know, that's what, so there's the thing. So this no, for instance, is 2, 5, 6, 5, and adding this together, 16, 17, 18. So this is the no that is required. That's the no bridge, the no, the nose. If we add the S, it would be 10. Okay, so 5, 10, 16, 17, 18. That's correct. So that's the nose bridge. So on the nose bridge, for instance, let us show you, because the word bridge as well equals 9. So this is where I'm going to quote Emmett Fox again, because I haven't done him for a while as it goes. Emmett Fox says, nothing comes into your consciousness unless it finds something like itself on which to attach itself to. So Job did not have self-knowledge, basically. Self-knowledge is that to know his makeup. He heard about his maker, but he didn't know his makeup. He didn't know the stuff that he was really made of. And that's another thing that, or that was the fundamental thing that was required of him. I remember just before, of course, on my journey to actualizing self-full love, on my book, The Crimson Light, which is The Crimson Light, a bridge to actualizing self-full love. And that's the exact, I hadn't come across this before, the essence of Job's story, but that's the exact message that Job's story is about. A bridge to actualizing self-full love is really self-knowledge, self-love, and Job did not have that. He felt he had to hold the city together, hold his children together, hold his community, and had such wisdom to doing all those things, but he did not know the stuff he was made of at all. So basically, God, of course, this is the story with God. Now God and Satan, because that's what Satan goes up and down. Now when God said to Satan, have you got your eyes on my servant Job? And of course they had this dialogue. It's like Satan and God having this casual conversation. Some men came to the city or came wherever. They came to God. This is how it goes. They came to God, and Satan was with them. It's like he just decided to accompany these guys. He must have done that several times before. They didn't sound like any strangers at all. And God says, yeah, so where are you going? What's up? And he says, well, I'm just there going up and down, up and down in the earth. and seeing, checking out things. So basically, Satan going up and down is that the earth, as I have said in my previous videos, when we speak of the word land, the body is the land, and land actually equals 13. So there is that set, which is 8. So we are set in this body, and the word set equals 8. And of course, 8 is that symbol of infinity, and it also equals so if we do the numerical value for, I think, 13, let's just see if I've got this here, if I have it correct on here. Right, so if we do the numerical, this is juicy. I have a list of the numbers that I have done here. So if we do the numerical value for number 13, it gives us 9. It gives us 9. Now that's what the sons, the word sons equals. The word sons equals 13, and it's also 9. So there we see, as Emmett Fox would say, that 13 here is really finding something like itself on which to attach itself to. So 13 and 9 is really one and the same. Now, I don't think I had done this much before. I don't think I had, but I have been doing number 9 as 11, and so we see how 9 comes about with number 13. So this is and I have called this the number 13 as the incubator. The incubator, it has the babies in there, and at some stage when the baby is strong enough, it has to come out of the incubator. That's what number 13 is about. That's what, of course, 1 plus 3 is 4. Now when we do the numerical value for the word 8 as well, which I say is that set, that also comes to number 13 or 31. I have done this before. In fact, I don't have it right. Yes, number 8 is here. So that would be 10, 20, it would be 31. So 3 plus 1, of course, is 4. So that is the mirror aspect to number 13, 31, and 13. And of course, has the same numerical value. I hope you're following me here. So Job, of course, we say he had a job to know himself. So basically his name equal 9, but he had to know thyself. Now I'm saying thyself, self as well. Now the word self is 6 here, which is 1, 5, 3, 6. If we add this together, 9, 10, 15. 1 plus 5 equals 6. Now that die here, I keep saying die like D-I-E, but let's see what that is here. So before I go on to this, you may have seen I've done this in many presentations, that when we do the numerical value for the word 9, it equals 6. So there we see that God is saying, know thyself. So this is 287. Again, adding this together, this is so delicious. This is 17. 17. 1 plus 7 is 8. Now 17, of course, equals God. Equals God. G-O-D. When we add these together, this is 4. 10 plus 7 is 17. Now, we have seen, as I said, in the verse, in the 17th verse of 17, actually, is the last verse of the book of Job. 17, which is 42. Again, this is what I'm saying, 42. So Job is of 42 chapters, which equals 6, and it ends on 8. Now, even if we were to just do this, it ends on 8, which is 17. Even if we were to just add these together, that would give us 14. 6 plus 8 would give us 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. Now that's what we've been talking about. Number 5. Number 5, which is the Kundalini, the pineal gland, the pyramid, the Christ spirit, the Christ, as I say, Mother Eve, that's Eve, and there is so much more. In fact, I really need to just give you a few of these. Okay, it's lock, it's key, it's open, it's house, it's home, and it's chamber. So there are lots of these keywords that we have been given through this wonderful tool of numerology to see that Mother Eve is really helping us to unlock all of these scripture verses so we could know ourselves. Now, of course, 5 is the middle number of 1 to 9. So basically, that's where Mother Eve wants us to get into there. Perhaps squash us a little bit in there, but to shoot us up into that third eye. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. It is really a wonderful place to be. Okay, and that's what Mother Eve really wanted for Job. So we have seen that the numbers of Job, his talk was 20. That is, or 2. We could say the number 2. Now, when we look at the number 2, which is very symbolic in that it is that number of harmony, it's number of partnership, it's number of relationship, it's number of love, and all those things, number of agreement. Again, that number puts us into that dimension of the incubator. It's 2 is really here, that bucket. This is where it is, that number, that sacrificial number. It's so everything, if Job was doing numerology, he would just really get very he would get to the source of all these happenings very quickly, thinking, oh well, I've got 7,000 sheep, or 3,000, whatever it is that he would be seeing, and he would think, oh well, there must be something. Well, knowing Job, he probably would just say, oh, well, it just means I'm perfect, and he would end there. It really things had to be taken away from Job to really, so that he could really get it. Then he had the boils. Of course, he had boils. That word itself was saying something is within you that needs to come out. That's what boils is about. That, things don't belong there. They are seeping out. They actually seeping out. But instead of him really getting it, he was still on his self-righteous words. I did this and I did that and I helped this person and now they are laughing at me and so on. Basically, that's what, that's why some people say when things are happening for you that you don't enjoy it, but it seems adverse to what you really expect. It really is a message of going within. It's the messenger is saying, by the word messenger. Oh, I've got it's so much on Job. Okay, to do the numerical value, but basically is saying, well, what is happening within me? What really is the symbol of these boils? Now, I'm very thankful for people like Susan Jeffers came to mind, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. But Louise Hay was my elder, my savior in a sense, when my son had bought me a copy of You Can Heal Your Life. And that is so phenomenal because there is all the correlations of ailments and the emotional and spiritual connections, you could say. So things like that. You know, nowadays we could say we don't know what it was like in Job's days, although that is another fictitious story, but it has such wisdom in it. We can't just dismiss it. You know, it is a very, very good story. I believe so, although you have to read between the lines, so to speak, you know. So basically, you know, it's really getting to go within and, you know, checking ourselves. So we see the number 3 was very prominent as well in those stories because he had 3 daughters. Now, the word daughters as well equals 31, as we have just done for number 8. So we could say that the daughters were 8. The daughters ate. The word et means it. And that's another thing, that the daughters would have gone to the house of the sons to drink wine and eat. That as well coincides with the story of Christ, eating bread and drinking wine. So we see that there would be a correlation, a reflection of the story of Christ as the Last Supper. So basically, there was a sacrifice, you could say. Job had inadvertently have a sacrifice. And had it been left to him to do this thing as there is another thing that it correlates with the story of Christ so much that although Job had 10 children, but when we do the word 10, of course, we see that it is 5. I hope you can see this: 5, 5, 2. That is 12. So 10 equals 12. So there you see that the story of Christ and Job is not so different at all. Okay, but I'm choosing to believe that there is a segment of the segment of occurrences or events that happen with Job are symbolic with the chakras. So when Satan, for instance, was going up and down, it's really having the dialogue with God saying, I am ready to go up to the third eye and come down again. I am ready to go up the spinal cord and to come down again. That was the arrangement with Satan and God. Now, that may not sound very well in the ears of some people, but remember that we say that when we look at Genesis of chapter 1, verse 3, that's the said God right there who said, let there be light. That is Mother Eve who said, let there be light, and there was light. That is Mother Eve who had these 8 entries talking about light and water and the earth and bringing forth great creatures after its kind. She is the mother of all living, and she is the one who, of course, was playing these roles here in the life of Job. Is the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. I'm going left for right and right. the left and right hemisphere. The chambers of the heart. The main 2 chambers of the heart. It's 4 chambers here and 4 chambers in the brain, and this 4 and 4 are 8, and that's another thing we are talking about. So we are talking about the 13 for the sons and 31 for daughters. If we do the numerical value for the word daughters here, we will see So DAUGHTERS. So 195287314. Adding this together, that's 5, and 10 is 15, and 10 is 25, and 10 is 35, and of course 5 is 40. Okay, so the way I have counted it here, I get 40. So that also means that is 4. Okay, so it's like it was 4, which is the same numerical value of 13, because 1 plus 3 is 4. So this is what had to come together to set. 4 plus 4 would be 8, and that is the set that was required for, which is number 8, as we are doing the word 8 equals 31. We can see, so sons are mirroring 8 right there. And of course 4 is 4 plus 4 would be 8. Okay, and I'm sure there is, when I do the numerical value for the word 4, it equals 6 as well. So of course that is another thing. So we have 3 plus 7 is 10. So we have seen that 10, of course, is also 12. 12 1 plus 2 is 3. That's the 3 vibrations that are the set, as I have showed. So it's the 3 Job needs to get to having this 8 in a harmonious way that forms a lovely 8-petal flower, so he can know himself. Again, there is, as I say, so much to all of this. So Job could get to have the I had the 6, and yes, in the sons, the word sons, we have looked at the word on in the middle of sons and get a pictorial representation of the sons right there, and that I think is really wonderful. So we have the 2 S's, which is basically, and then we have the spinal cord, which is 11. The 11 here and the 2 sons right there. So we could say this is what basically Job needed to activate his Kundalini, his Kundalini rise. Okay, he needed to get that 8 going. So basically, when that would be all done, he would be a new man. This is when it would be said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. So he would have had the correct ingredients to set that new man, that newness, which of course he went on to doing. But here's the thing that he said, and I want to get there is so much to Job, but I just want to get you to get the essence of what Job said after all his wise friends, or so-called wise, whatever it was, wanted to get him to understand, or they did everything. Then it really meant that, and there was the younger one, Elihu, of course, it was not mentioned before, but Elihu was the one who now came and says, okay, I have listened to you, men, grown men who are supposed to have wisdom and so on. But Elihu would have been that one who would prick Job to that extent of really going deeper down in his heart. So we see that there would be, so he had 3 friends, but then there was 4. Of course, the young man was not, or young friend, or whoever was not probably seen as a friend. but we see the number 4 shows here, and there were 4 incidents as well that happened. So we see the number 4 is like the pillars. Again, number 4 coincides with number 13, and of course number 4 on the sacrifice template also comes to number 10. All right, you may have seen that in other presentations that I have done. So 4 is here, it's that developmental stage. And the revelation, as we have used revelation here, is helping us to see that Mother Eve is right here. So Job would have come out of he's no longer in the sack. He's no longer feeling lucky. He is number 9. That's the 9 that he is really birthing from. And he's starting this new journey here of his development. His development is taking him to checking his north, south, east, and west. We see 9 is here where he's birthing that newness, but it's also, he's also carrying this 9 here in the letter R right there, which of course he has to birth. He has to come to this, and there was something about the east as well. The word east also equals 9, because he was a man who was in the east. Basically, he had to go to the west. That's another thing. In the west is where you contemplate. You are lying down, of course, because in the east you raise your head up to the sun, of course. So he had his sons, but of course they were dead, and he had to, I think the word dead is also 20. So he had to go back to or find himself in the west. The word west actually equals 13 or 31. So we can see that these are the things that W-E-S-T. So this is 10, actually it's 13. So 13, this is where he had to find himself in the west and really contemplate his life, really understand his makeup and his maker. So he heard about his maker. So I really want to get you to get the juice about this before. Let's take this off. Okay, I am sweating here because this is so delicious. Okay, so on yes, so after there was a lot said, and those were God spoke with Job, and really Job in the end, of course, here there's something really awesome with this. Let's just look at the last chapter. So it's chapter 42. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that thou canst do everything. I found this very strange. Now that's another thing, because we always say that God can do everything. Now that is a very, very profound statement to make. The first thing Job answers God here, and he says, I know that thou canst do everything, and that no thought can be withholden from thee. So he is really acknowledging that God can't do everything, but every thought, God is but every thought, or God is in every thought, and meaning no thought is hidden from God. I think that that is so profound. So basically there we are talking about thoughts and words. We are talking about Mother Eve again. So that is very, very profound. It's like acknowledging that we are instrumental in the life's process. That is what I'm getting here, because that is the first thing Job is saying here, and there is no adverse comment to that either. But who is he that hideth counsel without knowledge? Wow. And therefore have I uttered that I understand not. There he's saying, have I uttered that I understand not things too wonderful for me, which I knew not. So now he's saying there were certain things that he felt it was just too wonderful for him to hear. But hear, I beseech thee, and I will speak. I will demand of thee. Now Job is really making his demand. And declare thou unto me. I have heard of thee. He's saying, I have heard of thee by the hearing of the ear, but now mine eye seeth thee. That is illumination right there. Illumination right there. Wherefore I abhor myself and repent in the dust and ashes. Now, but that's the beautiful thing here. He says, now he's saying, I had heard of thee through hearing, through the air, but now he is saying, I see. That means he has become illuminated. And that illumination could not happen without him agreeing to it. Hence why he said to God, behold, I understand that thou canst do everything. That's how I have understood it. If you have any comments on this, of course, please leave your comments. It'd be interesting. But this is a very profound book, the book of Job in the scriptures. It is not only that the wording is the play, it's there's a play of words, and of course we are talking about men of wisdom, so why not of course that's what it would be. It would be evident that these words, you know, and they were taking their turns and speaking, and it was really a nice dialogue in a sense, even if Job was not really getting it or his friends did not know how to help him. There's another thing that happened. His friends spent 7 days with him, and 7 nights. And what I also had discovered, that the 7 days and 7 nights again coincide with the story of Christ, because Christ was on the mount for 40 days and 40 nights. But when we see about those 40 days and 40 nights, it really coincides with the number 4 for each day of the week, which let's see if we've got time to do this. No, we haven't. But I have done the numerical values of each day of the week for Monday to Sunday and added all these together, and it comes to 40. So we can see that the number 4 is very symbolic right there for your north, south, east, and west. That's what it's about. And of course, it's getting to that 4th chakra, which is the middle spectrum of the spectrum, we could say, of the chakras as well, where we really need to be very, that's where we need to forgive. That's where we need to take stock and really flush our systems, because the heart, as it is said, is the place of both good and evil. Because I have done a list of things with the word heart, and as I say, there's always a rat around. So all the words you could hear, there's the word hair, there's the word heat, and all of those things. And wonderful, the word air is also in the heart. The word rat is also there. So we have all those kinds of creatures right there. So anyway, may I say, I hope you have enjoyed this presentation. Leave your likes and subscribe, and thank you for watching too. And of course, share and spill over with love. That's what we are about. And of course, if you are considering activating your Kundalini, read on Job too. Why not? You know, but that is the repentance, of course, that we need to be doing. So let there be light, and there was light.